Enter stage left, Toboe. The second episode of Wolf's Rain features progression on many fronts, but none more prominent than the introduction of the last principal players. The first of which is Lord Darcia, who is mostly just a figure of intrigue at this point, only appearing at the very beginning of the episode, laying over someone presumably comatose named Hamina, and at the very end of the episode, sporting a gothic mask and a wolf's eye as he steals Cheza from the laboratory. It's no spoiler to say that Darcia is an important figure in the story, but this early on, I can't say much past that. The final character we're introduced to is the episode's titular character, Toboe. Toboe's establishment moment is one of my favorite in anime. As he goes to scare away some crows in order to secure some food, his attempts are immediately thwarted when their retaliation proves too much to handle. He even gets startled by a cat before he winds up fleeing from the scene. This provides an immediate contrast between Toboe and the other wolves introduced. Well, specifically Sume and Kiba, since Hige has avoided physical conflict. Toboe's more soft demeanor is presented throughout the entire episode, as he soon encounters Lara, a kind-hearted girl who gives the hungry wolf some sausages to eat. Toboe's fondness of Lara lends him to following her around, contacting her in his human form and attempting to help her secure her bird. This sequence is the hardest scene to watch so far. Seeing Toboe's good intentions end in the death of an innocent bird isn't an easy sight to behold, especially when he breaks down and betrays the title of the episode. Besides Lara, Toboe is also paired up with Sume throughout this episode. Another smart decision, not only because they are the only disconnected characters, the rest of the cast is united with another character at this point, be it Hub and Shay or even Quentin Blue, but because the contrast in the two's disposition. Sume is cold and detached, leading to his entire gang of thieves abandoning him, whereas Toboe's attitude is about forming a closer connection to another. It also helps that Toboe bears a striking similarity to Gal, both short stature, red hair, compassionate beings. Sume even has to reassert his lack of friends to both of them. While they initially go their separate ways after Sume saves Toboe from an encounter with Quent, the inciting incident with the bird brings them back together, as Sume takes Toboe away from Lara after he reveals his identity and sadness. A little while later, Toboe reveals his backstory. While the details are broad, essentially he was domesticated by a woman he called Granny from a young age, and despite his position as a protector for her, she still died. It's also revealed that those bracelets Toboe wear are a gift from Granny. Considering this is his distinguishing feature, our first look at him even highlights the bracelets. It's a pretty clever way of visualizing his connections to humans. I won't touch too much on the rest of his backstory now, but what I will say is that Toboe's established in the episode highlights one of the best features of Wolf's Rain, the perspective of the wolves. When Sume stated that Toboe was tamed and turned into a dog by Granny, I don't find his assertion too far from the truth, but that's not how Toboe saw it. He was spending time and protecting someone he loved. The whole debacle with Lara's bird is only effective because he's a wolf. Granted, that's not solely on perspective, but also physicality. As I've stated up top, outside of Toboe, there's a good amount of progression in the story. Every single character we've met in the previous episode gets some level of focus, each provided a moment to either learn more about them or develop their own ongoing storyline. Quent encounters even more wolves, and Hub's investigation into the disappearance of the wolves in the Sume Raiders ends with him paying the curmudgeon a visit. Shay's ongoing work with Cheza and her interplay with Hub continually define her character. Kiba's utter insistence on breaking back into the former prison and Hige eventually joining him speaks to both of their characters. Kiba's endless pursuit and Hige's friendly, if somewhat whimsical, nature. While I love the dialogue between Shay and Hub, especially with both constantly framing Hub's accent as a manner of reconnecting with Shay, but Kiba and Hige's dialogue with each other are often the highlights for me. Overall though, one of the most impressive feats about Wolf's Rain is its ability to juggle the stories of multiple characters all at once, best displayed here as it also establishes yet another main character with grace.